Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, my guest host, Mrs. Fanatic, and I will delve into recent episodes of The Last of Us, plus we'll talk about how Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania measures up. And we're going to do that right after this. Hey everybody, I'm George, your Fanatic, and this is my guest host, Mrs. Fanatic Michelle.
Hello everybody, I'm happy to be back for the second time. So apparently I didn't screw up too bad. Let's see how tonight goes.
Well, good to see you guys again. We took a break for a couple of weeks here because, it's my birthday. I want to take some time off and whatever else. And speaking of birthdays, I didn't get to share this with you guys last time on the show, but I did have a really awesome birthday gift behind me here, courtesy of my lady here. So it's a very lovely Lego replica here of Tony Stark's Nano Gauntlet. Of course, we've had some other hand gestures that have been a little less rude and not, oh, hey, and it's falling apart already. Oh, there we go.
See, you can dress them up, but you can't take them out. I can't even take them out.
I'm breaking my own toys here. Live on the air.
I tried, y'all. I really did.
One moment.
So, and now the Legos are cat toys. I don't know. This is our life. This is the life we have chosen for ourselves.
Should have touched it.
As you can see, I'm on a little bit of a stool tonight, so I'm not down here going help and trying to stretch up and reach the camera angle. So we're excited about that.
Dave Mattingly, good to see you, sir. Saying this is why you can have nice things, George. Yes,
Dave, this is why we can't have things. Period. Okay.
We just simmer down.
That never works when he tells me that. I'm just letting you know right now.
It never does. Yeah.
See, he says I'm the nicest.
Except for Michelle, she's the nicest. Yeah. See, there you are. I guess I can have one nice thing.
Yes.
So there you go. Mm-hmm. Just you. So, dear, how are you doing? How's teaching?
Teaching is teaching. If you have teachers in your family or friends who are teachers, buy them alcohol. Okay, because this is a hard time to do our job. But we just finished the second. Our district is on trimester, so we just finished the second trimester. So I had lots of really good grades. Some kids that didn't do so hot waited till the last minute and go, Miss Buehler, what can I do to rescue my grade? And I go, I'm going to need you to watch Back to the Future and learn how to build a DeLorean and go back in time because I needed you to care about this in November and not February. Okay, thanks, bye. So we've had an interesting go of it, but yeah, it's always nice to change classes, change it up a little bit. I lose some of the kids, so that's kind of sad, but some of them enrich your life when they walk in the door, and some of them enrich your life when they walk out. So. Little column A, little column B, as you say. Gotcha. But so, and you've been doing well at work and enjoying your...
Yeah. Basically, if you want to know what else I've been up to, get on Whatnot and follow Clopper and Comics because I've been doing their Whatnot sales for the last couple weeks now. So several weeks now. It's been a little over a month now I've been doing that. So yeah, so it's nice. I get to hang online for a few hours with folks and sell comic books. I mean,
you have an audience that cares. Different. I'm just kidding. We have really good kids. There's just some that with the buttons.
Oh yeah.
Pressing my Buehler's buttons.
But this is the final countdown. You're going into trimester 3 come Monday.
This is, and now that song is in my head, so thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
So that's where we're at, guys. It's Friday night. I'm exhausted. we're going to talk about fun stuff tonight, right?
That is right here. And Dave saying referencing your Back to the Future thing, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yes, you need a map. You need to learn how to read a map, and that's we're not getting that either. So it's okay.
Well, this is kind of we're doing a bit of format changes from what we normally do, because usually we would talk about new comics and stuff like that. We'll still do that, but I'm going to start a new thing. Come basically, maybe we're going to do like Tuesday or Wednesday, but basically it'll drop on around New Comic Book Day. Where I'll basically be in Clobbering Comics and just kind of show here's the new stuff coming out here, and here's the stuff I picked up and the stuff I care about, but here are other things. So I'll be showing off actually more comics, and it'll be a segment dedicated only to comics. And then these basically be, us talking or other guests we have on, and we just get to talk about other stuff.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And then on occasion, you'll be doing some book reports, seeing as you read actual books.
Yes, I like books without pictures. I'm just kidding. I do. I have read.
That's too shy.
Listen, it was final exam day. I'm feeling a little feisty.
You were in a saucy Michelle.
It is. Yeah. You get saucy Buehler today. Mm-hmm. So yay for her. But no, I thought it would be fun to share some of my books and some of my recommendations that I have. I just love to sit and read, and I don't have a lot of time, very much, but I've got one that I'm working on right now. It's kind of like a horror mystery kind of thing. So next show we'll talk about that, and I'll have that to show you all and give you the lowdown without giving too many spoilers and stuff. So yeah, so that should be fun.
Nice. Yeah, I read actual books on occasion. I read so many comics on a weekly basis that's basically where primarily a lot of my reading goes. But I'm reading 2 books right now. I'm still reading John Cosper's 10th anniversary of Bluegrass Brawlers, and then Henson March's debut book. I'm reading that one as well, which it couldn't be 2 more opposed things there, because one's about wrestling history, and the other book is about basically a kid growing up in Eastern Kentucky in like the worst possible conditions, and kind of his whole life, and it's kind of a modern day too. You think it's kind of like Huck Finn kind of stuff. Like, no, this is like 40, 50 years ago, something like that. But yeah, it's a very interesting but heart-wrenching book. So so if it's an emotional read, but it's still a very good read. So I got to finish that. Once I'm done with it, then maybe we'll talk about that on the show too.
I do actually have a couple of graphic novels that I have enjoyed reading, so perhaps I will share those. They were I went to Western Go Tops from a master's and read those, and they were required reading. And I thought, oh Lord, I think the first one was Before I Met You.
Oh yeah.
And the second one was, I had already met you then. So yeah, we'll probably bring those up. I've got to go get those for my classroom, because I've got kids that like to read those. Nice. So yeah, we'll talk books next time.
I've tried with the comics before with you. You just don't care for the format.
No, I don't. I like to pretend in my head, and so
visualizing yourself.
Yes, I love the movie in my head is so much better than any animation or any movie that's on the screen. I just taught Never Let Me Go.
Oh yeah.
And the kids and I watched part of the movie, and we were like, it just misses so much, it's so fast. So, there are some good book to movie adaptations that we can talk about at another gig. But I appreciate your love of comics, and it takes up a lot of space in our house, but it's I don't mind that. Yeah, it's everywhere. But I don't mind at all. I mean, it could be worse. Could be like you collect weird, like old bricks from places, and our house just has like mice and stuff in it. So, it could be worse. So I'll take the comic books all day.
I try to keep it minimized over here in the corner. So.
Get in the corner.
Oh, let's see here. AJ Howard is chiming in here. Hey, AJ, it's exciting, and said that just means her favorite comic book artist is her head. Oh, there you go.
That's exactly right.
That's
exactly right.
Good point, AJ.
The artist up here, I can't draw at all, but this artist, she's the stuff. I'll tell you.
Yeah, there you go. Dave Manley chiming in saying, filling up space is one of George's many talents.
Ding ding.
just getting saucy viewers, saucy co-hosts here, man. What is?
I mean, you get a sleepy teacher on a Friday, and that's just what you ask for. What you get, the beast that grows is the one you feed, honey.
Point well taken.
So.
Point well taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So moving ahead to our first topic here, we're going to talk about a couple episodes of The Last of Us, currently streaming on HBO Max. I just put it up temporarily there. Of course, got to do the move around.
That might have to be my thing.
I think I just put up a graphic in front of your face, and all of a sudden, just AJ Howard chiming in saying George is getting the through and through today. Yes, sir, I am. Anywho,
yes.
So all right, so we got
The Last of Us.
So we got 2 episodes to talk about. Episode 5, where we met Henry and Sam, albeit briefly.
Yes.
But we also got to see a different type of infected too. Yeah. So the infamous bloaters. So what was your impression of that thing?
Well, I'm not a gamer, so I have watched him. I just kind of watch him play these games, and it's kind of like a movie that, I'm like, ooh, right around there and go see this. But those bloaters, I mean, the translation from game to screen is amazingly accurate.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not into a lot of animation, as like the whole world knows, but it's just so detailed the way that they have this created. And it's not, didn't you say it's like a real dude? Like it's not CGI? Like that's amazing.
That was a guy in a suit.
Yeah. And so whoever does like the art for that, oh my gosh, like that is super creative. It's just, it's hauntingly beautiful, I guess is the best way to say that, because I'm looking at it going, okay, I should be scared of this if I'm these people. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's something that is giant coming out of the ground with all the other things that are coming out of the ground. Yeah,
I mean, you get this whole swarm of other infected and clickers and where else, and then this thing.
And it's like the clickers and the other things, the infected are almost scared of it. And so you're like, I don't know who to be more scared of. And, I don't know how some people are just staring at him going, whoa, okay, I'm running. Like, I don't understand why let's ponder the creativeness of this guy.
Yeah.
No, I am running. But, it was just so I was waiting for a scene like that.
Yeah.
We had watched
Walking
Dead. Thank you. And that was way before I was really familiar with a lot of horror and, gore and stuff. And so it kind of freaked me out. But I needed that.
You want a big scene like that.
I needed a big scene like that at that point. So, I was super excited about that.
And that's the thing. That's just kind of tip of the iceberg. I mean, we're going to see a lot more stuff like that. There's a couple other big scenes I can think of coming. But especially, though, when we get to Last of Us Season 2, the world's going to expand a lot more. We're going to see a lot more of the bad side of humanity as well, because we're going to they'll end up running into multiple groups. There's one group that kind of like, they're not quite a cult, but they're also very monastic too. Like they're all in robes and hoods, and they only use man-made weaponry, they are silent stuff. They don't use any guns. There is a bit of a religious, tint to them as well. So there's all sorts of different groups out there that we'll meet much, in the next season. It's like, but finally getting the bloater, seeing some of the other types that's in there, it's like, and they didn't do the whole, there is a gimmick that it does in the game where actually the reason why it's called a bloater is because they actually explode.
Yes, I was wondering if it was going to do that. I remembered that part.
They do kind of, especially too, if it's like damage is inflicted upon it, it will eventually explode. And then when it does, it just has all these spores and, the impact itself. So it's a nasty thing, and you don't want to. Your character doesn't want to be around it in the game when it happens.
Yeah.
But at least the nice translation of basically it being like a tank, and like the leader of the militia, she just like her second in command's like just go, and he's all unloading his rifle. I was like no, and then
it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Now he's basically head and shoulders above the rest.
Can we start a GoFundMe? Somebody's got to help.
Look, You guys have been cutting on me.
I mean, yeah,
I
that's
get
true.
bad jokes. Okay.
That's true. I mean, I picked him. So
Yeah, you did.
I'll just keep you, I guess.
Appreciate that.
You know, I have heard some people just kind of like reading the little Twitterings and things, and you know, why are there always these groups? Why are there always all these groups? Well, that's what humanity would do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do now. We find our people, we find our neighborhood, and that's who we mesh with, and that's who we create a life with. So it's not any different. You know, it's not like you're just everybody's going to hold up in their basement and just be, have, you know, 2 guns. Let's see what happens. Everybody tries to find other people to survive. So it's very, I think, representational of what would happen if we had something like that. Yeah,
it would be unusual if we didn't. Yeah,
right.
We're so much of a communal society and kind of people and whatnot. Yeah, it's too much like that. So, but then of course, you know, we met Henry and Sam in the previous episode because, you know, of course, Joel wakes up and they're being held at gunpoint.
Right.
But then now we get them fleshed out a little bit more. So apparently Henry was also an informer, you know, just like a bunch of the other people, but he was also doing it to protect his little brother. So.
Yes, I know, that was precious. And the whole, you know, her looking for Henry, what was her name?
Ellie?
No, the girl that got killed, the leader.
Oh, I can't remember her name. Her name
yeah,
was
the militia leader lady. When she was like looking for Henry, it just makes me think, okay, Henry can't be all that bad if she seems like she's, you know, like, I want to kill everybody. Why am I so angry?
Yeah.
And just the fact that at first I thought it was his son, and then you find out that it's his brother, and you know, he's hearing impaired, and the actor is too. And so I love to see representation of all different types of people. That makes me happy all the time when I get to see people that don't look like me and don't, you know, communicate like me. But it was just very precious that, you know, Ellie kind of found herself a little brother for a minute, and
they could be kids again.
Yeah, and that scene where they're like in that tunnel room where they're playing,
like the classroom.
And they're just kind of playing soccer and whatever, and just hanging out, and it's just that little sense of normalcy that they can have in such a turbulent time. So I thought that was precious.
It was, and of course, a little throwback to the game as well. The comic book that they're reading, that's straight out of the game.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Because you find others throughout the game as well, so it's kind of a nice point for Ellie to stop and just pause, like it's something she likes. But yeah, it's a comic series that I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was made specifically for the game. It doesn't really exist or anything like that. But it's a sci-fi comic and has a female-led character, and you know, very kind of like spacey and you know, kind of stuff like that. She's like a you know, police, you know, alien, you know, police kind of character or something along those lines. She's not a superhero, but she's more of like a, you know, space ranger kind of thing like that. So, but yeah, so like I said, it's a comic series she likes, and so, but it's a nice throwback to the game to have that book in there. So. But of course, we get to the end of the episode, and unfortunately, in the whole ruckus of everything, Sam gets bit or cut or infected in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that is just heartbreaking because then he has to tell Ellie, you know, and she tries so desperately, like, my blood is medicine, I think is what she writes on the thing. And, you know, they try so hard, and she just, it just kind of shows you that the writers of this game and the writers of this show are not in the, you know, pretend world where everybody's happy and everybody lives and everything's great. You know, bad stuff happens, and it happens to good people. And so, you know, the fact that he turned, and then his brother had to do what he did, and
then basically, so, you know, distraught over killing his brother, that he basically just turns the gun on himself too. So, I mean, and again, that's right out of the game. So it's it is heartbreaking because you see a lot of, there's certain times you'll run across characters throughout both games. You get to like them, and then something bad will happen. So whether or not, you know, they get killed or maimed or in some way, shape, or form. So it's, you know.
Well, it's kind of like I tell my students, you know, when you're reading, think about putting yourself in the situation of that character and what would you do? And this would be probably one of those places, oh, I wouldn't do that, or I would. You really don't know. I mean, unless you seriously sit down and think, what would I do if this craziness was happening? And so it's always interesting to see how other people would. It's good discussion to see how everybody would kind of react when that kind of situation.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the whole kind of coda to that episode is basically they bury Henry and Sam, and then that little tearaway pad. The other I can't remember what they used to call those.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, there's like magnetic pads or whatever else. But she writes I'm sorry on there, and so it's kind of like it's she's felt lost before, but it may have been a while. It may, and so this kind of like maybe dredged up a lot of those other feelings or something like that. So just, it's, again, these episodes, a lot of them are not going to end well.
Yeah. So, well, it's called The Last of Us, not Happy Family. So I guess, I mean, you're in it for, that's what you kind of know.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone will be the last.
Well, we got some more comments here. Let's see here. So, Dave Mangley saying The Last of Us main departure from the game is that Joel doesn't die every 2 minutes. I kept Joel alive a little bit longer there. So, and I do appreciate though that we do frequently use duct tape for things. So far, we've seen it. Men. We've seen it as a bandage. We've seen it in men boots.
Yes.
So, but duct tape's still being used. So there you go. So we still have duct tape in the apocalypse, and thank God for that.
That works.
Dave also saying that it's hauntingly beautiful and beautifully haunting. Yes. That's right on there. AJ chiming in saying that the key to any great zombie story, especially with Last of Us, is the humans are usually even more horrific than the zombies themselves. Exactly. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, that's tried and true in almost any zombie apocalyptic sort of thing like that. 28 Days Later series, all that sort of jazz.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. AJ also chiming in saying it's only natural for people to gravitate towards like people. Just makes sense. We're social. See, there you go. Same thing I said. There you go. See, hey, we're reviving AJ. Here you go, bub. Dave Manley chiming in saying that what's my favorite post-apocalyptic story or movie? For him, it's The Postman. That's an interesting one. So, do you have a favorite post-apocalyptic kind of movie or end of the world sort of thing?
I actually have a book that I read that was amazing, and it's been a long time since I've read it, so there's a lot of details I don't remember. But it was a Colson Whitehead book called Zone 1.
Oh yeah, you told me about that one.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, his writing is very heavy. And I love his word choice. Like, it makes me kind of pause and go, whoa, like I have to digest it. It's like a steak, you got to take your time, but it's kind of the concept of we're in that, like the first wave of the infected have already been killed. And now we're just kind of cleaning up. And like every time he talks about the main character, he uses his entire, like his rank and his name, like first and last. So maybe that's one I'll reread and review at some point. But Colson Whitehead, he is a heck of an author. Just amazing. So this was one of my favorites by him.
Let's see. For me, I guess I got to go with a classic, Richard Matheson's I Am Legend.
That is so good. That's such a great story too.
Been adapted many times. Of course, you've got Vincent Price's movie Last Man on Earth, which I would say is probably the most accurate to the book, even though they still miss some things. And then, of course, Will Smith did his I Am Legend adaptation, which had some departures on there, was a little different, but still, nonetheless, I would love to see a faithful adaptation, because the ending of the book, I think, has never been properly conveyed in a movie or any adaptation of I Am Legend.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's such a nonconformist kind of ending. It's a very anticlimactic kind of ending, but it's also very kind of punk. Because basically, like, here's this new society that's coming in. We're better than you, and we know it. And basically, they're the character is just like he's flipping the bird at this new society. He's like kill me. I don't care. I don't want to live in this place anymore. If I can't kill you and destroy you all, I don't want to be here. Do me in. And they and they're trying to cart him out and treat him like it's a big ceremony, like they're getting rid of this thing, and he's just like, F you, just get it over with. They've never done that kind of ending in adaptation. I want to see that done.
I know. It kind of feels like when the 28, which one was first? 28 Days Later?
Yeah, days, yeah.
Yeah, when that one was over and it's like, oh, here's a little bit of hope. No, it doesn't always end like that. You know, you don't have to be like, oh, here's a little ray of sunshine. No, sometimes it just ends and everybody's dead.
Yeah.
The end. So, yeah, sometimes it's ugly. But
yeah, and was it Danny Boyle who did those movies? He keeps saying like there's going to be a third part. You know, one day he will do this movie. So, but I guess like COVID kind of changed, you know, being able to do large ensemble movies and stuff like that. So that may have some drawbacks to it. But yeah, nonetheless, he said that one day we will have a third part. We'll have, I guess, 28 months later, or maybe years. I don't know, depending, you know, we'll see here. So yeah, good question, Dave. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Johnny, everyone watching, please share with the show with your friends. Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate you guys chiming in on that one there, and also sharing as well. Thank you very much, sir. Johnny saying the Postman is good. Yeah, it is a good movie. It's I was actually surprised by the Tom Petty cameo. That was kind of cool.
Have I ever seen that?
I'm not sure. That's
a question here I have to ask a lot. Have I seen that? Because that's just my sister and I both. It's like if there's a film we're not feeling, it's like our brain just goes, you don't need that anymore. We're gonna get rid of that.
You're better at it than Holly, but yeah, you're right though.
Yeah.
It was before we met when it came out, but it's end of the world sort of thing like that. But Kevin Costner is literally like the last mailman, and he's trying to keep that thing going, and he's basically going around to other societies, but some societies are bad, some are good, whatever else.
Oh, I've never known. I remember that.
So yeah, it's good. It's a good flick though. But yeah, there's like the mayor of one of the towns or the areas that he goes to is Tom Petty, and he's a nice guy. When you see him, like, hey,
yeah.
Let's see here. Johnny's saying his favorite post-apocalyptic movie is Love and Monsters. I don't know.
Were you talking about that the other day?
I don't think so. I don't know if I've seen that one or not. So, or the OG Planet of the Apes, yeah. And Johnny, you probably know about this, but Marvel, I think it's starting in April, has got a new Planet of the Apes comic book that's coming out. So I'm not sure what kind of canon or what kind of the storyline is. But they've already been doing variant covers featuring the apes interacting with their Marvel characters, whatnot. But yeah, so there you go, coming to Marvel Comics in the very, very near future. So let's see here. AJ saying it's better to have a grim ending and that we learn something from than the hopeful ending that doesn't land well.
True.
Very true. Good point here.
Good literature teaches.
Let's see here. Movie making has changed, is what Dave Manningly saying that we were talking about earlier. But he's ready for the filming of Dark City. Isn't that? Yeah, that's a local production, isn't it? In Louisville. I thought I heard something about that. So I don't know. Anyway, so I'm curious to know more about that, Dave.
Yeah.
So because unless you're not talking about the Alex Proyas film that came out in the 90s. So I don't know. Anyway, so next episode, we got to talk about one that aired this week here. So of Last of Us, of course, finally we get the reunion of Tommy and Joel. So everything seems, yay, we're happy. But then it's like, oh, maybe things have changed just a little bit between the brothers.
Yeah, the that dynamic that they had. I mean, I did get a little teary. It's not unusual. There might be a commercial every now and then, but the brothers kind of getting to see each other and hugging again, and just that, oh my gosh, that relief of you're okay and you're alive. But yeah, the difference, and I love Rutina Wesley in things. I could just watch her read the phone book. I mean, she's amazing. But just that whole that community that they have created, and they have water and lights and all these things.
Electricity.
So, yeah, it's amazing the stuff that they have done to create this life for themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, that dynamic definitely, there's a little sizzle there that wasn't there before.
Yeah, because definitely, it seems that, Joel was the one that kind of kept them going, and maybe they'd have to do some things that they weren't proud of and kill people. But whether or not that means that's referencing like killing people that were infected that maybe Tommy thought could be helped, incorrectly about that. Because once you're infected, it's done.
Yeah.
You gone. Or if he's talking about maybe they had to kill some human people that were infected. So whatever that means, there's definitely some dark history between, when the outbreak initially happened to fast forwarding 20 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely is there. But then of course, like, Joel didn't have to save Tommy. Tommy's okay. Tommy's doing well, and this town as well. And oh, hey, he's got a wife, and they're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I saw her body from the beginning, and I was like, oh, she gonna have a baby. So
you're good.
She gonna make a. I'm always like, what's going on with those characters and who's doing what, and I'm looking at the little nuances of everything. But yeah, I was like, oh, there's a belly there. She gonna have a baby.
And a nice element they added into the show that wasn't present in the game is basically that Joel's been suffering from PTSD.
Yeah.
Basically since the beginning of the outbreak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that we're seeing more of the human side of him.
Yeah.
At the beginning he was very like, just get your gun, let's go. And that's kind of how I see him in the game, just watching him every so often when you're playing, like, oh, that's just the guy you're running around and this is how you're making him work. But he is a real dude and has these emotions, and as they start to peel back those onion layers of his character, it just becomes really like he's endearing now, and he's not just a person.
And especially Ellie's growing on him too. So it's
his baby now.
Yeah, you're definitely seeing that dynamic that he had with Sarah, and it's like that father's coming back out of him. So it's there's going to be some tough decisions coming up here that the Joel from episode 1 versus the Joel we see now. Yeah, maybe they would not. There's definitely two different dudes. Right. Well, that's that movie. So so there's going to be some stuff coming up here, but but some interesting stuff too. Of course, we get we get the big fight that Joel and Ellie have, where it happens that bedroom and that house they're staying in. That is literally word for word verbatim from the game. Yeah, we were watching that episode, and he was like, "This is right out of the game," and so they. I don't remember that part because most of the time I'm just playing on my phone or I'm reading or whatever while he's playing. But it's been a while since I played the first one. And it has been, So, but her, I could see both. I could understand where both of them were coming from. Where this is how I feel. Well, I've also lost people too, and I'm not immune to loss. I mean, she's grown up in a life that doesn't know anything other than living in a QZ and loss. Yeah, so. Just it just is so cute. Like their fight is cute, if that makes any sense at all. Just, you're going to do, I'm not doing that. Well, then just come on. Okay. You're going to go with me. And it's that, okay, well, I love you, but I'm not going to say that. Yeah. I want you, I'm still mad, but you're going to come with me. We're going to stay together. Yeah. There's almost that moment where you think, okay, Tommy's going to have to be the one to take Ellie, further on to the university. And then nope, here's Joel coming in here. So I'm still curious though if it's still just going to be the two of them, or Tommy's going to go, because Tommy gets a little more involved in the game and helping them out and whatnot. So we'll see if that happens, or if he kind of has to pull back, or maybe do something a little different here. So yeah, I know. Well, him being a father, didn't you say that wasn't a factor in the game? That's definitely a change. New, yeah. So that may add another layer to his. Well, if it was just people that I, if I just had a wife, maybe I could go and then come back, but I'm getting ready to be a daddy. So that may change a lot of his approach to everything. Yep. Of course, they get to the university and, everybody's already gone. Or there's some people there that's dead, but they've obviously moved to another place. But there were some raiders that were still there. And so Joel gets into a fight, and what we don't know is that he gets stabbed with loaded weapons. So he's got a big thing sticking out of his chest. Yeah, and that's just heartbreaking, and she's like, Ellie has just come through this big moment with him, and they've kind of peeled back another layer of their relationship together. And now he might be gone. So it's that urgency and stuff, which knowing it's not the last episode, we kind of know he's not. Yeah, we don't think he's dead, but this is definitely a period, of course, again, right out of the game, where Ellie's going to have to take care of Joel to keep him alive, but also fend for herself, probably for the first time. She may have always had other people or had some other support system, or there were people there at the QZ taking care of her, but as far as we know, this may be the first time she's really got to fend for herself in the open world. Yeah.
And she's got those tough outer layers, but definitely there's that little girl inside that still is like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm scared. So that, she's what a brave kid. But yeah, bless her heart. Lots going on in her head.
yeah, very true. So, all right. So, Dave's got to drop for a thing. So he's want to talk about Ant-Man. So we will definitely do this here. So. Oh, yeah, we'll definitely talk about MODOK in just a bit here. So that's for sure. That is going to be our next topic. But first, we have to take a short break for our sponsor here, Comic Books for Kids. So we'll be right back, folks.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
And we are back. So, of course, we were talking about The Last of Us, but now we're moving on to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. Yay! So this was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. I loved it.
Yeah. Of course, this is definitely the largest of the Ant-Man movies. The scope of it was bigger. The stakes, the adventure, everything about this was a much bigger film.
Yes.
But also we got to basically meet our kind of a proper introduction to our big villain for the next phase that we're going to be in here, Kang.
Yes. When he landed at the beginning, I was like, oh, and then you see him laying on the ground, and I thought, oh, wait, I know who that is. Like I got excited because I sometimes, you all know I'm not a big comic book fan, but I love the movies, and so I like to make those connections and go, wait, I know that face. I know who that is.
Yeah, because we watched Loki, so we saw him at the end.
Yeah, that was such a great first season. So we're ready for the next one, but. Yes. Yeah, boy, he was a lot.
He definitely stole the show every time he was on screen. Yeah, and they kind of took a little bit to get to him too. They built up to him. We get to see some of his stormtroopery kind of guys, and we see the freedom fighters. So we see all these other different little groups of people here. But then we finally get to Kang himself here. So yeah, and what a presence. So
I know he is. He definitely has that. He doesn't get really angry until he really does. And it's that kind of even-keeled, this is how I'm going to talk all the time. And that's the creepy part. Because it's not like he's, rawr and yelling and stuff. Everything he says is like this. And like those are the scary people in the movies. That they don't really deviate from that at all.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is too, is that, he does get very kind of explosive, almost kind of like like an abusive spouse or something like that, very much kind of that, we're being gentle and all of a sudden like, sort of thing. But
it's when you just had it.
Yeah.
Like a teacher. There's days. So I get the Kang of it all sometimes there at the end.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. Of course, this was a great showcase finally for Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Janet Van Dyne. Finally. I mean, we've seen her, she was, Michelle Pfeiffer wasn't even in the first movie. Her character was glimpsed, but then we should go to a little bit in the second one, but finally we get to see Janet in action, the real Wasp.
Yeah. And just all of the stuff that she kept from her family and wanting to, I kind of, the whole watching the movie, I'm like, why didn't she tell them all this stuff? Like that would have been, okay, if we ever end up here, here's all the things I want you to watch for. But I guess they wouldn't have had a movie if they would. She would have said, let me warn you about everything. But just her, that mother, I'm going to fix it. I will take care of it. Yeah. Let me, handle it and stuff. And just how she and Hank kind of, their relationship is always so cute and silly in places. But yeah, I was really impressed with how her character was kind of opened up to everybody.
Yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer is a badass. I mean, it's like she's no, it's like it's been a while for her from doing a superhero role. I mean, she was Catwoman.
Yeah,
but it's been a little bit, but she still got it. So that's so that was awesome to get to see that showcase. And then I like finally we get to see kind of like Hank Pym really do something too, because he was always been kind of like Michael Douglas, like the background character, but he gets his big scene with the enhanced ants, I guess. I mean, they built a Type 2 society. That's better than us as humans now. So it's like,
and you can't even see their little faces, but every time they come around, I'm like, they're so precious. Look, I bet they would let me hug them. That's every animal that I feel like would let me hug them. That's like the standard of cuteness.
Yeah.
If you will let me hug you, animal, then I love you.
There you go. Yeah, the stingray, the big flying glowing stingrays. I think you probably get a hug out of them.
I could probably would have to be really careful.
Yeah, I know they're big stingrays. I don't think I have to worry about being careful. They're giant and flying. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it'd be delicate with him, like you have to be delicate with little ones.
That's true.
And, the big ants. There's that. So I mean, there's probably other little things. I don't think that sun thing. I don't think you want to hug that sun thing with the tentacles and whatnot.
No, but the
there's like those little floaty things there.
Yes, those. And then what was his name? The little
Veb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
With the ooze.
He was so cute. He was so precious, and I loved it. Like how do you make something cute that doesn't even really have a face? Like he just has two little dots, but so precious.
And no holes.
No holes until the end, and then he was like, "Listen, I got holes. I'm gonna use them."
Yeah, I love it. He sucks everybody up, and what was it? I can't remember the telepath. But yeah, he's like, I didn't know you could do that.
You could do that. Yeah, I mean that, and after the movie, I remember telling you, the fact that Marvel understands clearly that there are people like me that are not like, oh, that was in edition 7 of the season, whatever. I don't know. I'm just going to watch a movie. And they put like the most precious little details in, or little funny characters and little cute things. And, kind of, you don't know what's going on, random 45-year-old lady, but here's a cute thing you can look at, and it smiles and it oozes
but it's oozes also like a universal translator. So that's helpful.
And it wants to help you. So it's just precious. But
and though we miss not having Michael Pena and David Desmalkian, and who was the rapper guy that was the third friend?
Oh, T.I.
Yeah. So we didn't have them. My rap is like, I mean, if he would have been like in the 90s when I was in high school, then we're great. But
after that, he's
become lost.
It's not.
Yeah, when I think of new hip hop, I think of the Roots. So, and they've been around since the 90s, but they were like, I was after high school. So, Anywho, but so those three buddies didn't get to be in this movie, but doing the voice for Veb was David Desmalkian. So at least he got to be in there. A little bit. So I would have loved though if Michael Pena got to voice somebody, just to have a Luis story. Yeah, and that was the one thing really missing from an Ant-Man movie was a Luis story.
Oh my gosh, his character cracks me up.
So, but still, it was kind of nice. Like the Freedom Fighters were kind of the Micronauts, but not quite. I guess they didn't have the rights for them, so basically they were kind of like, okay, well that the warrior character, like her, like she was like, okay, that's kind of Ackroyd here. That's also kind of the other female character who's like the big warrior, and then like, okay, the robot guy was kind of that one there, and Veb's kind of like Bug, and so that's all. So
I love the plethora of badass women that are coming through these Marvel movies. It makes me really excited.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of female. I mean, there's some we have met. There's some we haven't met. There's some we haven't seen really get to showcase how badass they are. So I gotta think we're gonna see these Freedom Fighters at some point. I mean, we're heading towards a big multiversal thing there, so the quantum realm's got to be a part of this too.
Yeah,
so,
good.
I'm sure.
I loved her.
Yes, but we have got a couple of comments. We got to talk about MODOK. So okay, so MODOK has been a point of controversy for some fans, obviously. Yeah. The MODOK from the comics was a creation of AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, which basically is like Hydra, except they're all evil super scientists, and they basically do whatever super scientist stuff they want to, regardless of how it may affect humanity, the planet, whatever else. It's all in the name of science and domination. They kind of reworked AIM in Iron Man 3. That's who basically, the kind of bad guys were, but it's basically AIM was just one dude. So they had to kind of rework MODOK because people have been wanting MODOK and is a popular character. But okay, so we somehow are able to be accurate to the character with his display, with how he looks. But the story of the character is definitely changed because now we basically get Darren, who we thought we had dispatched in the first one.
It's the perfect name for just the head, like a floating head.
Darren.
Apologies to anybody watching named Darren. It's not a personal thing.
But yeah, so we had the floating Darren, and of course, I like how they worked him in. Basically, of course, we saw like his body get shrunk, but his head was basically still normal size. Kang, reworks him and basically turns him into, we turn Darren into MODOK.
Yes.
And we still got to see a little tiny MODOK butt too, which that kind of freaks some people out, I think. So, but hey, it was a tiny butt. So there you go. What are you gonna do about it?
I mean, he would have a tiny butt. If he had tiny legs, he'd have a tiny butt.
There you go.
It's just logic.
Let's see here. Dave Mattingly said that of course, he's got a split, but he said that he loved the MODOK reveal. He said he never would have guessed it, but it totally made sense. So, yeah, they did actually make it make sense in the story. But, yeah, but obviously is very different, though. Karan Singh has got a little bit of a different opinion, though. He basically thought about what they thought about MODOK. They thought they ruined it. So, I mean, because, yeah, it is not an accurate depiction of MODOK, but that kind of seems to be the running thing with the MCU is that, okay, they'll take, some elements that very well, and this is going to be mostly accurate. They got to make some changes to it. But then there's a lot of other things they have to kind of repurpose.
Yeah.
Taskmaster was very different from how she was portrayed in Black Widow versus how he is in the comics.
Yeah.
Where it's not a cybernetic kind of thing. It's literally that's his power is that, he sees somebody do some type of movement, whether it's combat, dance, the Macarena, or just sweeping the floor, and he can instantly copy that and knows how to do that.
Yeah. And
so that makes him a perfect fighter. And so, so obviously they, gender swapped the character and then turned it into something a little different for Black Widow. So, but, we still have a Taskmaster in the MCU, but it's a little different. So we still have a MODOK. Well, not anymore because he's kind of dead now.
Yeah. We had one.
We had a MODOK. So.
Yeah. Well, and I like how, not everything that they put out, that Marvel puts out, is exactly like the way that it was written. It to me, it strikes me like the book movie adaptations.
Right.
And, I used to teach The Secret Life of Bees, and we went to watch the movie, and I think it was a snow day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was,
We had a snow day,
yeah.
And so, like, I got on our messenger thing and told some of my kids, like, hey, if you guys want to come watch this movie. And the whole time they were like, what? That didn't happen. That was really fast. They missed the whole entire scene. Miss Buehler, I do not like this. Like, yelling at me. Like, dude, I didn't do it. I didn't even buy your ticket. Like, why are you bugging? But it's that there's that little bit of twist and creativity that the directors and producers kind of get to add to the core text that kind of makes it fun for the new viewer to discover, like, oh, that's the same, but then here's stuff that's different too.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't mind the changes so much. Marvel, in my opinion, Marvel has not made a change that is so drastic, like they completely ruined the character. Because if you got to think of perspective, like the idea of a giant guy with a giant head, tiny body, sitting in a floating chair with like mechanical attachments looks pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And most of the time when you see MODOK translated into other media, he's never been treated as a serious character. The cartoons has been that way. There was the MODOK series on Hulu, like that used the basically kind of like Robot Chicken, where they used like toys and figures and stuff like that. But then Patton Oswalt voiced the character, and it was a comedic series. It got, I got, touching and got some heart at moments, but for the most part, that's a comedic series. So MODOK's never really been treated as a serious contender of anything, because it's just a pretty ridiculous looking thing. So.
Yeah, I know. The first time I saw him come out, I thought, what
Well, first he's in the
What are you taking me to, George?
Got the mask and he's floating around doing the thing, and all of a sudden he just reveals it's like it's Darren.
I'm like, why know that face from somewhere?
I did love there's a couple of points of exposition, like one Darren was doing and then one Kang was doing, where like literally Ant-Man like interrupts the exposition. It's like, wait, what? You did that thing? Oh, MODOK. Okay, yeah.
I mean, Paul Rudd is just hilarious. I love him in this role. I think it's, I've not, of course, read, but he is Ant-Man. Like he's the, oh, I'm a superhero. And then they're like, oh, Spider-Man. And he's like, okay, that's not me, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So that humility plus duty kind of thing that he grasps really well.
Yeah. So, and I like too that, of course, we get we've seen Cassie kind of grow up, throughout the 3 films. And of course, she hasn't been played by the same character. That character's been played by 4 different women.
It's like the National Lampoons. It's like Audrey.
Yeah, exactly.
Russ, Audrey. It's a different Cassie all the time.
Yeah. So, we get Catherine Newton playing the role here, and I think she's got it down.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. I think she is great. She was in. I kept watching the movie and going, I know her face from somewhere.
Freaky.
So,
Freaky. She was in that.
Well, she was in Freaky, and she was also. I remember her from Bad Teachers.
Oh yeah.
She was like the little boy's crush. But yeah, I like her. Her spunk and her desire to help people, and that kind of. That's dear to my heart, is people that like to just help other people. So,
and she's a science chick.
Yeah, and smart, and just not she's afraid, but she doesn't let her fear get in the way of the things that she knows that she has to do. And so, yeah, I think they did a good job with her. Yeah,
and they kind of added a little something too, because in the comics, she's very much that character, but she's not as much like. The science thing they added a little bit of that into her for the movies, because they didn't establish it in this one, but eventually she takes the superhero name of Stature, and the funny thing is, though, if you see like the toys, a lot of the merch, she's labeled as Stature and that stuff, but they never call her that in the movie whatsoever. I even think in the credits even says Cassie Lang / Stature, but it's like no one says that.
I missed that totally.
Yeah, well, that was never that word was never said. She was never called by that name whatsoever. She never called herself that name.
Stature.
Nothing. Yeah.
Not even. Okay.
Yeah, because the whole thing is like she doesn't do the shrinking so much as she does do the bigging, the embiggening, I guess. Yeah. Embiggening. Getting giant.
Enlarging.
Hey, there you go. Okay, there you go. Enlarging. That's a good thing. Better word. So yeah, she does
Better
that.
than one that's made up.
I thought embiggen was a word. No? Okay.
You're thinking like the quickening from like Highlander.
I'm not, but nice reference. I like that.
Trying.
Anyway, so I like that we got, we now basically have 2 female STEM heroes now, because we got her, we got Riri Williams, who we'll later see back as Ironheart again. So whereas Riri's more of like the Tony Stark, where she's the builder, and the tinkerer of things. And Cassie basically is definitely kind of the more out there, weird science sort of stuff like that. So,
yeah.
So, we almost kind of had a false ending, because I kind of thought, I guess maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp were going to be stuck in the quantum realm, and maybe, they'll form the Micronauts with the Freedom Fighters. Nope, boop.
Nope, they come home.
Portal's back open there. Cassie fixed the thing. Okay, there we go. We're back in. So.
Yeah.
And we get the Bill Murray cameo. We're going to talk about that.
He is hilarious. I mean, he's just himself. Like, it's just like he's talking and he's himself.
Yeah, he's just in a wig and a suit, but it's still
yeah. And I mean, he can do no wrong in film. I just love that man.
We get to see a little bit of serious, a villain turn, though, like in just a little moment. We've never really seen that from him before.
And I think that, to me, I feel like that's why it works so well for the casting for him, because you want, all this lead up to, I know who's going to help us, and we're going to find our way out, and he's going to help us. And then he doesn't.
Yeah. He turns them in. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's this concept of, you think this character is going to be like this savior and help them. And then it's Bill Murray, and you're like, oh my gosh, everybody loves him. How can you not love him?
Mhm.
And then he's like, no, guess what's happening? So
would have helped you before, but new boss.
Yeah, it's not even like he's ever been a main character. So it helps to create that illusion that, oh yeah, I'm going to help you. Oh, no way, I'm not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was really good casting.
Yeah. But yeah, one point I definitely want to make about Kang again is that we definitely see the length and breadth of his hubris, because he has conquered the realm. He has murals of himself. He does big holographic, speeches in front of the entire quantum realm.
Mm-hmm.
So he loves himself some Kang.
He is what the kids would say is thirsty.
Yes.
He likes the attention.
He's very thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
I actually know what that means. There you go. So
I taught him.
yeah, she did. So you just keep me up on these kind of things.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
that
is you are job. You're with it. But it is also kind of like his downfall as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because he doesn't expect to be defeated. He's Kang,
And that is the first thing that you should learn, that you should not act like that if you think you're going to try to win, because, pride and things are important. But when it does bleed over into that hubris, that really hasn't worked out for a whole lot of people in the world. So you'd figure that he would dial it down a little bit, but no, he's on one and he stays on one.
He does, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about our little cut scenes we had. We had two in this film here. So first one is we basically get to see the Council of Kangs. This has been referenced in the Loki episode, and then Kang himself talked about this. So yes, there is an entire council of other versions of himself, led by three very recognizable versions for any Marvel Comics fans, because you had basically the Rama Tut, the kind of the first Kang. That's the Kang who essentially was from the future, discovered time travel, goes back to ancient Egypt, and conquers the realm there. So that was kind of the first conqueror Kang.
Okay.
And then you had the old, the one with the raspy voice. That's Immortals. That's basically the last Kang. That's the one who dubs himself the Lord of Time and sees himself as more of kind of a god sort of thing.
That's not dangerous.
Yeah, I'm a god. I'm the god of time. I control the time stream. I control the monitoring of it. If I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to stop you, and I have the power to just go, sort of thing like that.
So not a great guy.
Not a great guy, yeah. Okay. The third Kang, I would assume, is more of a, I guess maybe kind of a more recent futuristic conqueror. He wasn't too terribly specific. So there's some fans who kind of thought he may have been the Iron Lad character, which basically that's kind of the good Kang. But he's not, because the good Kang would not have been with the Council of Kangs, because he doesn't like all the other Kangs, because they're all evil. So yeah.
Yeah. And then I noticed some of them have the scars on their faces, and some of the Kangs don't. So I guess they're different pathways.
Because those are just battle scars.
Yeah.
That, he's, suffered through, different, trials and tribulations and whatnot. So
sometimes you feel like a scar and sometimes you don't.
See, you get on me about the bad jokes.
Oh, that won't be the last one.
But one thing I did want to point out though is that when we get to the end of that scene, all the scroll or I just gave it away there. All the Kangs are cheering, they're all happy, and they're all together. And then one of those last Kangs we see is a scroll.
Yeah.
So that points to maybe a next thing we got to deal with there, because Secret Invasion, that series is still coming. So hopefully sometime this year. We love a date.
Anybody?
I don't know. But then the other scene also points to another show we're expecting is Loki season 2.
Yay! Loki was so fun. I loved that show, and I love that they put their shows out. And we watched it in the mornings, like when I'm getting ready for school. And we'll watch, as soon as the night before when that Loki comes on at midnight, we are up watching it at 6:30.
Yep.
And that was I like the now they were in what time, like the 1800s?
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
definitely.
Yeah. So I like that whole, like, they're back and trying to Like, are they trying to get him, or they
Well, yeah,
know?
because if we remember, basically Loki, and what was the girl's name? The female Loki.
Oh,
Can't remember. Anyway, but she killed the Kang that was there, and the man at the end of time. And when that happened, it broke the time stream and made a bunch of different aberrations. And so now, when Loki goes back to what he thinks is home base, everything's changed. Kang is obviously running the TVA, maybe even controlled the TVA, and no one knows who the heck Loki is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so we get maybe a little bit of a flash forward, basically like, okay, he and Mobius are now investigating Kang. Loki knows exactly who he is, knows how dangerous he is, and Mobius is still learning. Sylvie, thank you.
I knew it. I have her pop upstairs. I was like, I can see it in my head, and I knew it was an S and an E. Sylvie.
Yeah, I knew it started with an S. I couldn't remember anything else there. So thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so we get that little flash forward. But for Marvel fans, it was kind of like a little extra Easter egg they threw in there. Because when that Kang is making his presentation, he is billed as Victor Timely. Now, there's a couple of things in there. The sign that he had there was like a shield sign there. Well, the birth of Marvel Comics, it was called Timely Comics.
Oh.
And their logo was a shield. Very much like that. So there's that. Mm-hmm. But if you remember from way back in the first Captain America film, you do see a glimpse of the original Human Torch, because there's a scene where there's like a presentation being made, or you're seeing other experiments, other things going on. You basically see a man in a glass cage on fire. Well, that was basically Dr. Phineas Horton that was standing next to that character, who basically helped create it. Well, the other person that helped create the Human Torch was Victor Timely. So whether or not they're kind of repurposing that, we may actually get to see the OG 40s Human Torch, which basically is not a human being. He's entirely an android, like the Vision. Mm-hmm. Kind of in the comics, how the Vision was created was from the original kind of schematics body of the Human Torch. So the Human Torch has got a long history of being in the Marvel universe. Basically, mm-hmm. He's been around since the 40s, as long as Captain America. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're going to do anything more with that, or that was just kind of just a little thrown in thing there.
Yeah.
And then one other thing for the nerds had to throw in there as well. The big fight scene, and they're trying to cross the bridge to to take out Kang and all his people there. And there's the bridge code they had to throw in there, the 18164. That was for us nerds too. That was completely okay, those are just numbers, whatever else. And I'm going like, okay, 181, that was the first, that was the issue of Avengers where Scott Lang was introduced. And then 64 was Marvel Premiere 64, which was the first issue that Ant-Man was introduced. So there you go.
Well, that's happy. I'm happy that you saw that and that you enjoy that.
Nerd stuff. Well, I think that about wraps it up, talking about all that stuff. So, I think we've covered, everything we saw in the movie and things we liked about it.
Yeah, it was fun. And I saw some people that were kind of poo-pooing it a little bit, but I thought it was fun. And I'm not trying to be, this Marvel scholar. I just think it's a big Ant-Man and Wasp movie. And,
you like what you like, yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it.
Well, good. And me being a geek, I enjoyed it as well. And, it's like, there's definitely been a lot of ups and downs that a lot of the fans have said about, the previous Phase 4. So this is the first thing to kick off Phase 5. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but it did a lot of, good things to establish that this Kang guy's here to stick around, and he's major bad news. We haven't even seen what he can really do.
Yeah.
The shooting out dissolving rays and conquering realms and all that kind of sort of thing like that. Okay, there's that. Mm-hmm. But it's like the really scary stuff of the time stream manipulation, because that's the thing he's very good at.
Yeah.
Is manipulating things.
And that's the part that when we got to that Loki, or the end of Loki, mm-hmm. and he and Sylvie were talking to Kang, and it was just all of the, it's a lot, it's heavy. Mm-hmm. So it's really neat. I'm looking forward to more of Kang.
Yes, we got a lot more of that. So, of course, we did get to see a teaser poster for the Marvels that was supposed to be in July. Now it is in November. I haven't heard anything, a major reason for that, like if there's any pushback or anything like that, or any production issues. I think it basically, if you look at the calendar, there, with the exception of Spider-Verse was at the end of the summer, there's really no Marvel. There's the Craven movie that Sony's putting out. That's another, hey, let's do a Spider-Man villain not have Spider-Man in it and make that a movie. Yay. Yeah. So there's that. But there's really no MCU at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. It's all the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we'll just push it back and over here. So
I feel like it gives them more time to do it justice.
Sure.
Because I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean you're down to see some Captain Marvel too. So you're
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I may just hide in the theater in between when they're cleaning and just watch it again.
There you go. Yeah. That's not entirely honest, but it's okay though.
I don't know, except all the people that watch this.
She don't care.
May not have shouldn't have said that, but that's okay.
That's okay. No, we won't tell anybody here.
Okay.
You guys don't tell anybody, all right? Anyway, well, thank you once again for joining me, dear. It's a lot of fun.
You are welcome. Yes, and I will have some book reviews next time.
Awesome. And thank you guys for joining us as well. So don't forget, like and share, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, and share with your friends, bring them in, part of the conversation, share the geek stuff here. That's what we're all about here. Mm-hmm. So, and you guys have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time on the Fanatic Forum.
Good night.
Bye-bye.